Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today I'm taking you to the Great League. The Open Great League has rotated back once again, and today I went on an absolutely crazy run with Murkrow in the Open Great League. The pairing of Murkrow and Shadow Marowak is an exceedingly strong one, and Murkrow, even though it is extremely frail, was absolutely wrecking teams. Now, I led Murkrow. You can use a variety of different Pokemon as your save switch. I used Credilli, but if you're in an ELO bracket where you see a lot of Bastiodon, then you can definitely opt for something like a Quagsire. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and we're off to a great start in game number 1, leading Murkrow into Gastrodon. Opponent save switches into Fearow, and this is a great matchup for Murkrow. I throw the Drill Peck instantly so that way my opponent is denied a full sneak, and now Murkrow should be in a very nice position. I can always just stay in and win switch, and winning switch means that my opponent's Gastrodon is going to get stuck on my Credilli later in the game. Drill Peck will connect into the Murkrow, picking up the knockout, and now basically no matter what they send in here, I'm just going to be staying in. It's a Shadow Kanto Ninetales. Ember has incredibly fast energy generation. They shield up the Drill Peck as Murkrow, due to its massive attack stat, is incredibly threatening. I bring in the Marowak, and I'm always going to be no shielding because Credilli with a shield is guaranteed to win me this game. They go for the Scorching Sands, in comes Gastrodon, I send in Credilli, and now this is a very straightforward game. I'm always going to be shielding the Water Pulse as it's going to do the most damage of any remaining move. Opponent realizes there's just no win con, so they will resign the match. Hopping into the next match, picking up a very nice lead, Murkrow into Galarian Corsola, and the Corsola is not switching out, so it appears my opponent is core broken by the Murkrow. Now, while Corsola is able to win the Zero Shield because foul play will not be enough to knock out, I'm still very happy to play out this lead with the Murkrow. I'm going to shield, look to overfarm a massive amount of energy. My opponent is going to save switch into Shadow Scizor, and I fire off the Drill Peck. Here, I made a pretty big error. I should have thrown one Peck and the Drill Peck. Instead, I threw two. This means that my opponent has more energy in this Marowak matchup than I would like them to have, and this actually ends up being a problem as Marowak fails to farm down, and I'm forced to fire off the Bone Club. Bone Club will be no-shielded by my opponent. In comes Galarian Corsola. I'm just going to force the simultaneous KO, and in the back, they have Credilli, and this game is over. I get to bring in my own Credilli, and unfortunately, I get the Spinny Ball of Death in the top left, and I end up missing a fast move somehow. I don't get the sneak there where I should. The good news is I'm so far ahead in this game it's not really going to matter. I don't know if it's an internet issue or if it's the game, but very, very odd that happened. My opponent will throw their charge attack as soon as they get it. Grass Knot will not get the KO. Here, I should have thrown a Grass Knot myself because my opponent can never afford to shield. But either way, it's not going to matter. As I send in the Murkrow, and I'll go for the charge attack priority tie with the Drill Peck as they make it to the Rock Tomb. Because a shielded charge attack does exactly 1 HP of damage. So this way, I can guarantee that they get just a little bit lower. And now, should be 1 acid from my Credilli to farm down theirs and take the win. We've got a tough opponent on the lead in the next match. Z Zweilous, easily one of the best battlers in the world, and one of the most creative team builders as well. We've got a battle of flyers, Murkrow into Shadow Gyarados. I put up a shield as Murkrow is very, very frail. Opponent save switches into Ice Fang Hippowdon, and I have absolutely nothing for this Pokemon. This is so bad. Hippowdon, this is just a core breaker. I'm triple weak to ice because there basically aren't really very many ice types in the meta, so you can oftentimes get away with that. But unfortunately, I'm getting destroyed by this Hippowdon. In comes the Marowak. Marowak gonna look for a farm down. I'm gonna be shielding up the Scorching Sands, as Scorching Sands would do massive damage, but these Ice Fangs add up so much as well. He's gonna bank a Weather Ball for later and send in Gyarados. Gyarados immediately under threat from the Rock Slide. Rock Slide forces the shield. I have a second Rock Slide locked and loaded, so at the very least, I get to pick up the knockout onto that Gyarados. My opponent does have the Weather Ball Rock stored on that Hippowdon. They bring in Hippowdon, and they're throwing the Weather Ball Rock. This tells me whatever they have in back does not want to see the Marowak. Weather Ball picks up the KO. Murkrow gets the Peck down. I have quite a bit of energy. I can two-shot most Pokemon, but unfortunately Clodsire is a rare Pokemon that Murkrow cannot two-shot. I throw the Drill Peck. That's just not even close. Clodsire farms down, and Z Zweilous is able to get the win. Great lead in the next match. Murkrow into Galarian Moltres. One of the things that's really nice about Murkrow is just the Dark Flyer that's able to completely destroy the other Dark Flyer that is Galarian Moltres. Drill Peck is shielded as I play to the Charge Attack Priority tie, and watch the health bar on this Moltres. Moltres is taking so much damage from Peck. Granted, I'm so glassy as Murkrow that I'm also taking a lot of resistant Sucker Punch damage, but you have a significant pacing advantage, and just like that, I'm able to win the lead. In comes Annihilate. Annihilate, a very scary Pokemon to see when you have Credilli in the back, but I do have switch advantage. My opponent gets a farm down, but they pay a pretty heavy price. In a bit of an odd turn of events, I actually get a Mud Slap through. I think my opponent threw a counter and then waited a turn before throwing a Rage Fist, but in doing so, that just gave me a free Mud Slap. They end up catching on to Claydol, and at this point I realized that I think this is just a team from the Willpower Cup. My opponent may not have realized that the leagues rotated. I rebank a move onto the Marowak for later, and Credilli will be able to close out this game. I can very comfortably throw 5 and the Grass Knot, and I should be good, but the Spitty Ball of Death shows up, my internet sabotaging me, and instead of outpacing, I end up getting hit with the Rock Tomb. In comes Annihilate. I fire off this Grass Knot. The good news is I can still win, but my goodness, my internet, what is it doing today? I get the Grass Knot, even though it is going to be debuffed, it will still KO, so we still get the win, but what a weird game. Murkrow leading into Altaria in the next match. Pretty happy to see this on the lead. My opponent safe switches into Empoleon, and this is tricky. Empoleon can inflict massive super effective damage with Hydro Cannon, so I'm forced to go down a shield early. I'm going to throw 2 and the move. This is on alignment, but in case my opponent no shields, I want to maximize the amount of residual energy that I have. My opponent is going to shield, so I'm going to have to give up my final shield, which is always a little bit scary with a glassy Pokemon like Murkrow, but I don't intend to stay in this matchup. Instead, I'm going to save the Marowak and aggressively pivot into Credilli. Opponent switches in what I thought was a Magnezone, but it's actually a Shadow Magnemite. Look at the spice. Magnemite farming up a ton of energy, and I will get to the Rock Tomb. This Rock Tomb should be pressuring a shield from my opponent, because Magnemite is just that glassy. They are 2 stages debuffed. I'm hoping that I can survive here. Magnet Bomb lands, I barely survive, switch clocks up, and there's the snipe by the Marowak. Marowak will get to the Rock Slide. Altaria, it's very bulky, but this is a Shadow Rock Slide. That's big damage. I will make it just to the last second Rock Slide, and this will be game over as Rock Slide knocks out the Altaria, and we're able to take the win. Hopping into the next match, leading Murkrow into Togekiss. Now this is a bit of a scary matchup at first. You're a Dark Flyer into a Fairy Flyer. However, Murkrow can actually win the 2s. It appears that I don't get pecked down in the 2s because, surprisingly, as the regular Murkrow, I can actually survive the pecks decently well. Considering I have a Credilli and a Mud Slapper in the back, I'm extremely happy that I can stay in here, play out this matchup, and actually win it with the Murkrow. My opponent gives up their final shield, and I'm going to be giving up my final shield as well. I'm a little bit worried about a catch, so what I will do is just go for the Foul Play, because even if they stay in, which is what they do, Foul Play will still KO, but it covers for a catch onto something that resists flying. In comes Quagsire looking for the Mud Shot down. Murkrow survives getting to the Drill Peck. They catch, but it's onto a Gastrodon, so they're running Togekiss Double Mud Boy. In comes Marowak, and the safe play is to always click Bone Club. If they CMP tie with a Body Slam, I can fully undercharge. And if they try and commit to the Water Pulse, then I can just knock them out with Bone Club before they get there. So to me, it's a very safe play where no matter what happens, I always exit ahead. My opponent does have an Aqua Tail loaded, so they're going to throw it so that way I don't get the Bone Club, but now it's the Zero Shield Quagsire versus Credilli. In comes Credilli. After 1 singular Acid, my opponent is going to immediately resign the match. Tough lead in the next match, Murkrow into Stunfisk. I save switch into Credilli, and my opponent responds with Golisopod. Golisopod will play to the Charge Attack Priority tie, and I decide to put up a shield. I know that as long as I get a debuff applied first, I should be able to survive the X-Scissor, get to a second Rock Tomb, because I want to try and get shields down. This team commonly has Galarian Moltres in the back, and if they have Galarian Moltres, if I can get shields down, then hopefully Marowak in the 1-0s will be able to take home this win for me. My opponent has overfarmed massively. I know I lose the CMP tie, so I can never end up shielding. I just let it go, bring in Murkrow, but they pit it out. In comes Stunfisk. I bank a little bit of energy and bring in the Marowak. My goal is now to farm up to back-to-back Bone Clubs, because I'm pretty sure the Golisopod is pretty close to Bone Club range. But when they throw theirs, suddenly I get worried. Am I going to get outpaced? Did I stay in for too long with the Murkrow? It's going to be close, and I did. I stayed in for too long. I have to hope I can survive this on 1 HP. I cannot survive this on 1 HP, and now this game is over. It doesn't really matter what they have in the back. They end up making a catch onto the Galarian Moltres, and I am just getting outplayed in this game. Either way, once the Marowak went down, there was no winning this game for me. So from here, I'm just going to let this go and just let myself get knocked out. That game, I think it's a very tough team composition for this one to win, but I definitely could have played better. Great lead in the next match, Murkrow into the Gastrodon. Opponent safe switches into Furret, and this is amazing. Murkrow loves this matchup. I go for the Drill Peck instantly. The Drill Peck lands, but I do want to save the Murkrow. So I'm going to make a bit of an interesting play. I'm bringing in Credilli because I'm thinking that I can go for a full acid farm down. It's going to be very close because they are boosted. And boosted Trailblaze does a lot of damage. The Trailblaze is gonna land. I do get the farm down on very low health. They send in Charizard, and I go for the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb into the Charizard, 1-hit KO my opponent. My guess is they probably assumed that I would blind Grass Knot expecting the Gastrodon, but no, I did check the top right, saw it was the Charizard, clicked the correct move, and we will be able to take home the win now that Charizard got one shot. That's really unfortunate. I absolutely love Charizard, so you hate to see Charizard getting one shot, but it works out very nicely for me as Murkrow will be able to close this out very nicely. Honestly, even if my opponent ended up shielding the Charizard, they still would have been in a very difficult position because I could have brought in the Marowak, just click no shield, let the Marowak be used as a damage sponge, and then Murkrow with shields was always closing out the game. So in this case, Murkrow still able to close out the game, but we didn't even need the Marowak. Great lead in the next match, leading into a Corsola. My opponent is going to safe switch into Credilli, and I'm going to stay in with the Murkrow and go for the Drill Peck. Drill Peck gets shielded, and this is difficult because my team is pretty weak to a Credilli. I have my own Credilli as my best check. So, unfortunately, things are a little bit difficult against the Credilli safe swap. I was hoping my opponent would no shield. The fact that they shielded is going to make life a lot more difficult. They are debuffed. They farm up quite a bit of energy. In comes Galarian Corsola, and I will throw just before I reach 100 energy. I want to bank a Rock Tomb for later, so I bank the Rock Tomb and I send in the Murkrow. Watching this back, I believe that what I should have done is actually, once I debuffed them, sent in the Marowak, as Marowak would have easily absorbed the debuff to Nightshades, but I was worried about a Bastiodon in the back, so I ended up saving the Marowak. I can never shield this because if I shield, then my opponent will get to go for a combo play with the Credilli. In comes the Marowak. Marowak farms up so much energy, and I will go for the CMP tie against the Corsola. Corsola will get knocked out. They do not get their Nightshade. Opponent did store a decent amount of energy on the Credilli, and they throw it here. I'm going to be shielding up as I can knock them out with the Bone Club and have the Marowak for what's in the back, but I miscounted. I lost track of how much energy they stored. Grass Knot lands. That's devastating damage. And now my only win con is that it's a Gastrodon in the back. I overfarm as much as I possibly can. Rock Tomb picks up the KO. That's not a Gastrodon. It is a Mud Slapper, but I cannot one-shot. Grass Knot lands. They survive. And we lose a game that definitely should have been winnable. We move to the next match, needing redemption after that last game, and we get a great lead. Murkrow into Shadow Malamar. Shadow Malamar, no shields, and gets absolutely rocked by the Drill Peck. I'm more than happy to shield the Murkrow, because I know if they're staying in, they're ABA weak. Out comes Empoleon, and I will quickly switch in the Marowak. I know that Marowak is not going to be able to farm down here before they get a second move. But my goal is, if at all possible, to just get rid of the Empoleon or get them low enough that I can peck down with the Murkrow. So I go for the Bone Club, they're going to shield, and I get the Mud Slap through as they're able to knock me out with the Hydro Cannon. But because that Mud Slap registered, now I can just peck down with the Murkrow. And Murkrow having a Charge Attack loaded is always very scary. In comes Marowak, and this is just a win. I'll get to fire off the back-to-back Drill Pecks. Opponent waits the turn trying to catch, but I hold on to my energy. We are not making the misplays of previous games. And now, Drill Peck will deal devastating damage. There's the Rock Slide catch onto Credilli as well. We are so back. We played pretty poorly in that previous game, but this game is our redemption. We acid down Marowak and take the win. Hopping into the final match, and what a nightmare lead, Murkrow into Dugong. I am triple weak to Dugong, so I save switch into the closest thing I have to an answer, which is Credilli, and I fire off the Rock Tomb on the CMP Tide to their Icy Wind. The Rock Tomb gets no shielded. This is amazing for me. They don't yet know how strong Dugong is into my entire line. Now that they have me debuffed, in comes Shadow Altaria. I will get to debuff the Altaria. They're highly likely to shield, and then if my switch clock's up, I would love to be able to switch out. Switch timer's up, in comes Murkrow. Murkrow, even though they're debuffed, has to shield everything because Murkrow is not the tankiest Pokemon around, and this is a Shadow Altaria. Altaria gets to a second Sky Attack. I'm going to look to overfarm as much as possible before I knock them out with the Drill Peck. So I go for the Drill Peck, and there's a beautiful catch from my opponent onto Dugong. I go for an undercharge, only a great that will allow me to get 3 pecks of energy back. So now I have a ton of loaded energy for whatever they have in the back, and that Pokemon is revealed to be Gastrodon. Gastrodon will take big damage from the Drill Peck. I get to Drill Peck number 2, and unless they shield, they're getting KO'd. Drill Peck is going to land. Down goes Gastrodon. In comes Shadow Altaria, but due to the overfarm from undercharging earlier, I get to the Drill Peck. That forces the shield, and in comes Shadow Marowak. I think I can win this game if I can just get to the Bone Club. I know it's double resisted, but this is a Shadow Altaria. I get to the Bone Club. I'm hoping this is enough. I'm needing it to be enough. Bone Club lands. It does not KO, but that should be a range of 1 acid from Credilli. So they knock out the Marowak, but I can bring in the Credilli. Credilli survives, gets the farm down, and that is a good game. All in all, I had so much fun with this team. This was also the first time this season, if I'm not mistaken, that I actually used Shadow Marowak. Normally, when something is kind of the best Pokemon, I tend to try and avoid it so I can use other things, but my goodness, Shadow Marowak is an absolute force of nature, a wrecking ball in this meta, and pairing that up with the Shadow Murkrow that can output immense damage as well, and it really felt like this was a high offense team, where the battles went by pretty quickly, because even though Credilli can slow things down in the mid game, the damage output from both the Marowak and the Murkrow, they had really good synergy. Obviously, if you run into an Ice Fang Hippowdon, you're probably going to have a terrible day. Z's Wireless absolutely cooked me with that Hippowdon. But outside of that, the team felt like it was great. I believe it went 11-4 across the 3 sets that I played with it and climbed from 2650 to 2746, which at the time of recording should be about top 25 in the world. So I'm very happy that against some really quality competition, this team was able to produce some great results. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.